WHO has further gone on to say that it does not have adequate information to make a full comprehensive risk assessment. Meanwhile, satellite images have also now emerged that show crematoriums in China packed with crowds. Remember, China is battling a nationwide outbreak of the COVID-19 virus after abruptly easing restrictions. In fact, several countries have imposed COVID-19 testing requirements on Chinese travelers now.
WHO still believes that deaths are heavily underreported from China, and this is in relation to the definitions that are used, but also to the need for doctors and those reporting in the public health system to be encouraged to report these cases and not discouraged. However, having said that, we do, as Maria said, want and are working ever closer with our colleagues in China to try and understand better the transmission dynamics. But we still do not have information.
Satellite images show crowds at China's crematoriums and funeral homes as COVID cases explode across the country. The images, taken by Maxar in late December and early January and reviewed by CNN, show lines of cars waiting outside of funeral homes in 6 Chinese cities. The images appear to show that a funeral home at the outskirts of Beijing has even constructed a brand new parking area. This is consistent with what I've seen at crematoriums in Beijing and with numerous social media footage that shows overflowing funeral homes. When I visited crematoriums last month, I saw a long line of cars waiting to get in and yellow body bags piling up in metal crates and workers loading more in. I spoke to families who told me they were waiting for days to cremate their loved ones. All of this, it suggests China's COVID death toll is far higher than the government's tally of only 37 COVID-19 deaths since December 7th, a strikingly low number. The World Health Organization and U.S. have accused China of underrepresenting the severity of its current outbreak. Global health officials are urging Beijing to share more data about the explosive spread. While the country is no longer providing nationwide statistics on COVID infection numbers, some provinces are sharing their own data. The provincial government of Henan said that around 89% of its residents have been infected with COVID-19 as of last Friday. This is China's most populous province with a population of more than 98 million people. Local officials did not disclose the death toll.
So very worrying picture now coming out of China. So even as we know that numbers continue to spike in China, now even the WHO has raised a red flag saying that we are worried at the kind of underreporting that we are seeing as far as COVID-19 deaths are concerned. As we just saw in that report, officially, if you look at the numbers that we've got from China, ever since December 7, the official death toll has just been given at 37. But now new satellite images are showing how there is a massive crowd outside funeral homes and crematoriums. Many families also speaking how they have to wait for days and weeks to get an appointment at the cremation center. This is exactly what many epidemiologists has also said a few weeks ago, that the death toll and the infection rate could be in thousands. It's also a possibility that 60% of Beijing's population could be wiped out because of the kind of infections that China is still seeing. Remember, China had received a lot of criticism for its zero COVID policy. Then it went back on it eased all restrictions, and then we started seeing the spike in numbers. But now the WHO is saying it's not just the numbers, but even the death toll that is being reported of China is being underreported, and they're extremely worried of that pattern emerging as well. Let me first bring in my colleague Abhishek, who in fact has been tracking these developments for us. Abhishek, while there is nothing to shock us here anymore in terms of whether we'll ever know what the real picture on the ground is, but this has global ramifications. Even when the infections started to rise, the worry was what happens in China, unfortunately, doesn't stay in China. So if we continue to get these underreported numbers, the world will never be able to prepare themselves or what the strategy should be.
Yes, you're totally right in that sense, because China has been not only underreporting the severity of cases and the number of casualties, because but also not letting the world know what kind of variants are there. So far, we know that the variant that is prevalent in China is Omicron, which the world has already witnessed in the past years, and probably this is not going to be as adverse as it was thought to be. But currently, even if we consider Chinese figure, they have reported that only 37 people have so far died since from the month of September. So last 4 weeks, only 37 people have been officially declared dead from COVID. And this is also because China has narrowed down the definition of COVID death and only respiratory problems emerging from COVID virus can be attributed as a death caused by COVID. So WHO has also criticized China for narrowing down the definition of COVID death. And in the last few days, we have seen satellite images emerging from crematorium where queues of his vehicle have been seen, parking spots have been created. So, and we have also seen visuals and videos emerging from China where people have been waiting to cremate their relatives. So, who all are these people and what is the cause of their death? This is something that China will have to answer.
And Abhishek, it's not just the underreporting that they're doing in deaths. There is a red flag that is being raised by many epidemiologists and experts of what they're categorizing as a COVID death also. And this is what we saw in the report that we played out as well, where many family members are saying, we are sure that our family members died because of COVID, but the hospital is saying something else. So there is another ploy to cover up of what is being categorized as a COVID death. But just talk to our viewers in terms of what is the plan as far as the Xi Jinping government is concerned. So you saw a lot of criticism against the zero COVID policy. You do away with it, but with no clear plan in place.
Of course, for 3 years, Chinese people were living in the most repressive regime in the name of zero COVID policy of Xi Jinping. We saw in the last few months how the protests, countrywide protests in China emerged, and they started taking a pillar of political color also, where people started asking Xi Jinping to step down because of his failure to contain and not allowing people to live freely the world was living, because we have seen normalcy returning in other parts of the world while Chinese people were still living in lockdown. Of course, people's protests forced Chinese authorities to reconsider their policy. They lifted all the lockdown and restriction very suddenly, and that caused a lot of people traveling from one part of the country to other part of the country, and the mingling of people caused this widespread resurgence of COVID pandemic in China, which China is currently dealing now. To tell you one figure, almost 90% of people in China's third most populous province, Henan, have been found infected with COVID-19. That puts the total population will be about 88.5 million. So in one province of China, if 88.5 million people have been infected with virus, you can just imagine the kind of number of patients and severely ill patients will be in across China, which Chinese government is not allowing to come out. As a matter of policy, they are not sharing these data with the world.